Welcome back to the GSL Code A. We've already given away 1 of 4 Code S spots. There's 3 left to go.
We are going into another ZVZ. In the last game, True took out Bung Bung with a quick 2-0. Bung Bung, especially in game number 2, didn't have a chance with the build order that he chose, but now we're heading into another mirror match. We're heading into a ZVZ between Su and Lucira.
Yeah, Su actually making a pretty good showing, similarly to True, in his first run in Code A, and now he's all the way in the 3rd round. He took out his teammate Fantasy on the way.
I actually thought that the game between True and Bung Bung would be a little bit closer.
Yeah, same.
But I personally felt that the second CVZ, the one that we are heading into right now, would be the more exciting one. Su looked really, really good in all the games that he played so far, and his CVZ record is quite impressive. Now we have him up against Lucira, who's also a very, very strong player. This is the first time that Lucira has to play in the GSL Code A in this season because he dropped out from Code S. But Su
did not play against Fantasy, playing against MVP, my mistake. I knew he beat a Terran on his way through here.
Oh, you said Fantasy?
Yeah, I could have sworn he played against Fantasy. Yeah. Who did Fantasy lose? Which Zerg did Fantasy lose to then?
Fantasy, let me double check that for you. Fantasy lost to... Yeah, give me a sec. But
yeah, sure. I was just... My brain farted there for a second. Now I gotta know. It's one of those things like on the tip of your tongue, you're like, wait a minute, then who was it?
No, I'll have that in a second. But yeah, the Terran player that Su defeated was actually MVP.
Yeah.
So that was also pretty impressive to see him take down MVP with the 2-0. And to be quite honest with you, so far we haven't seen a single loss in this GSL Code A season from Su.
It was Shine, in fact, who took out Fantasy, who will be playing a little bit later.
Exactly. Shine will play later. He is going to play against Squirrel in our 3rd match of the day. But here you have on stream the 2 players now that will play in the next match.
Yeah,
to the left,
Lucira, man, is just looking on fire these days. He's like back to shape, I feel.
But he has to be really careful, as I just said. Well, without losing a single map in his in his Code A run, Su is looking strong, and especially in his CVZ, is looking really good. So coming into this, if you don't know too much about Su, I feel you would immediately say, okay, Lucira is easily going to take this. But Su is good. It's not only good, but he's excellent in Zerg versus Zerg. So this is... I actually have no idea who's going to win this. I tend to say Lucira, but only because I have more experience with him, and I don't know how much of a stable player Su actually is, how consistent he is in his play. But he is really a scary opponent, and Lucira would do well to not take him lightly.
Yep, let's jump into game number 1 on Icarus. Zerg versus Zerg here at the GSL Code A.
Starting to the top left in red, we have the Casper player for SKT1. This is
SK Telecom T1 Su.
Player who took down MVP in the 1st round of Code A, had to deal with Killer in the 2nd round, didn't lose a single map against either one of them. Now he's up against another Zerg player. To the bottom right of the map, starting for LGIM, we have the guy with the Twitch.
LGIM Lucira.
He was a finalist against his teammate, Nesty, was defeated 4-0 in that finals, and that was the finals that people started to say, is there a curse of bad GSL finals?
Well, the thing about Lucira is he lost in the 2nd round of Code S. In the 1st round, he defeated Ryung twice to get into the 2nd group stage, where he lost to GOMTV and to MC. If you just look at his statistics in general, his Zerg versus Zerg is one of the matchups where he's the strongest. And this also is, quite true if you go down his match list, where he defeated opponents like True, no pun intended, took down Ragnarok, took down Symbol and DRG, lost to Live, but just in general, pretty impressive stats in Zerg versus Zerg, but this is true for both of them.
Yeah. Now, we talked about the previous Zerg versus Zerg, and we talked about this map. We had a weird game where one player went for pool first, the other one gas first in the pool, and it was kind of a build or loss. But if you look at this map now, how it's playing out, both players are going for identical builds, and they're going to be able to get those extra resources from the backdoor expansion. This is going to be a very aggressive early to mid-game, I feel.
This is definitely going to be a very close game. You can see that neither one of them is gambling on any kind of things here. They are both heading into a macro game. They want to decide it in the late game, where multitasking is going to be important, where we'll help see as you said, a very, very intense mid-game, most likely. And on a map like this, it's so difficult just with the third base and the position that you have for it. Two bases are kind of easy to hold, but the third base is a bit more exposed, so run-bys can be very dangerous.
Yeah. It's really important to make sure that you have vision of the rocks, because when roaches come out, if your opponent breaks to the back rocks and starts seeing roaches back there, that's going to be a big problem for you as well. We don't know if we'll get that far. We have seen mutas and ZVZ on this map in the past because of the extra resources. You can churn them out really quickly. As you can see, the gas immediately be taken by both players at the back door because that's a rich geyser, which is part of the reason why oftentimes you see early baneling aggression on this map.
Yeah. And what we are definitely going to see is a very intense fight between the two of them. Both of them seem to be strong in Zerg versus Zerg. Both of them want to avoid the up and downs, go straight into Codes. The thing is, if you win today, you can ignore Wings of Liberty if you don't participate in one of the overseas tournaments. You know that from this point on you will only play Heart of the Swarm, which is also one of the reasons why we didn't see Lucira play in the GSL preseason tournament.
Yeah.
He was completely focusing on his Wings of Liberty games, and this might be the last one for him.
Exactly. If he takes 2 wins here, then he's done. He doesn't have to practice ever again for Wings of Liberty. Tries to get a scout off in here. Sees 2 queens, which is pretty good information to get. But he does not get information about the Roach Warren, which is going down. So you're going to see Roach aggression from Su very early on. It could use it defensively as well against, since this map is good for baneling aggression, but I think it's much more likely he is doing an attack here.
Yeah, and we have a lot of gas now going down for Lucira. So Lucira is the one who wants to tech. He will have the tech advantage, but if he doesn't get any scouting information about his opponent's build, then this is going to be very dangerous for him.
Yeah.
Speed will kick in quite soon, and then we have the Roaches to back that up.
We'll see exactly how he wants to do this. Su having the backdoor gas much faster than Lucira. Lucira not actually using it until just now.
Oh, that's awesome for Lucira, though. Taking down the Overlord is great. Su is building those roaches, and this is of course the dangerous part, but now at least he cannot follow this up with an immediate push of Zerglings with the next round of injects that he has. So he will have to get this Overlord out, and this is kind of screwing with his timing a little bit. This could help Lucira a lot.
Yeah, this is really important for him. This is one of the things that when you skip gas, you like to do as a Zerg player because it gives you that freedom.
Lucira is completely blind on the other hand.
Yeah,
now.
he has no idea. He's making an evolution chamber wall at the top, which is great against Ling baneling attacks, but not so much against roaches.
He needs more, and he saw the roaches by now. He must have seen them.
Yeah,
he's far ahead in the harvest account.
He sees him with his Overlord. He's starting his own defensive Roach Warren back at home.
Yeah, he started immediately when he saw it. I think even a little bit earlier, and he's waiting for it. He's waiting for the roaches. He wants to get this time, and now he's building the first 2, but that's not going to be enough. He is supply blocked at 6. I'm not quite sure if this is going to be enough for him, Wolf. I actually doubt it.
I don't think so. He needs to target down the queens with the most energy first. Ah, no transfuse there. He definitely had enough energy on his second queen. Now all 3 queens are gone, and he's making units, but they're too slow.
This is most likely going to be it.
I think so.
He's in the base. Lucira was supply blocked at the most horrible time ever. He overdroned, and Su is now taking everything that Lucira has apart. Su with the aggression, Lucira not ready, and this is the end of the story in game number 1.
GG, what a one-sided game there. I mean, the supply block was the nail in the coffin. He had a wall set up, he had 3 queens, he had a transfuse, which he didn't use, but even if he had, it wouldn't have mattered. He would have lost it with one more volley.
The supply block ended his hopes, but even without the supply block, it would have been so difficult to defend against this. And this was just Su trying to make sure that there were no scouting information for Lucira, going for an early aggression build. If Lucira sees this early, with the Ling Rambai for example, he sets up Spine Cross, he has his own units out, has a Harvester lead, and then Su is in trouble. But with no information whatsoever, Su is just gonna walk over Lucira as we just witnessed.
It was really smart that Su hit his Roach Warren in the backdoor expansion. Of course, it's going to be what is the most common way to do a build like this on this map, but Lucira tried to scout, didn't see, and then played a little bit greedy. And if you don't have information in ZVZ on a weird map like this, if your opponent is not going for Roach Warren, he's going for fast tech, and you build spines, and you're going to be behind. So he made the best decision he could have, but it just was the wrong one.
Yeah. This is what we mentioned earlier when we were talking about the 2 players here. Su is a very tough opponent, and Lucira You can't underestimate him. If you underestimate Su, he is going to take you out, and that's what happened in game 1. Lucira now has to come up with a strategy for a kill on flats, our second map in the Zerg versus Zerg. Su is eager to finish things early. He will try to take Lucira down with a quick 2-0. Let's see what the LJM player can do about it. We're jumping into the game. Get ready, ladies and gentlemen, for the second match between Su and Lucira here at the GSL Code A Holland Wolf.